It's going to be fun no matter what.
What are we doing with our lives?
So, I don't know, man.
Yeah, Saturday morning up in the gym, just 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 did a little casual workout.
Yeah,
you know, I can barely sit down.
Terrible.
Right now.
You know, the video will show me collapsing to the ground after the Metcon, and that's fine.
Well, man, I'm glad we did it. Definitely,
I'm glad we made it.
definitely much needed. Welcome to episode 1 of Glory Stories. I feel like I just shouted that. These mics are hot, dude.
Yeah, volume warning to anybody at home. We're sorry.
Yeah, headphone check there. Sorry about that. But welcome to the highly anticipated episode 1 of Glory Stories. I'm gonna do some housekeeping stuff real quick just before we get started. This is episode 1, but those watching, be on the lookout for episode 2 because that will drop soon after this one drops. So you get a launch, a little bonus content with the whole launch weekend. You get not just episode 1, but episode 2 with Drew Rapp. Check that out. However, episode 1, highly anticipated. I've been waiting a long time for this. Episode 1, Glory Stories, here with my friend, special guest, brother, Mr. James Stone. James, how you doing?
Thanks, man. I appreciate you having me on. I'm doing really good, and considering the workout we just finished, which again you'll see that soon, it was quite intense.
Well, that's yeah. We just want to make relatable content.
That's right. Just casual workout stuff, nothing too big.
Yeah, if you're gonna suffer, just know you're not alone in this. James, I'm gonna ask this question. It's kind of a very common opening question, but this is like a hybrid channel.
Mm-hmm.
We got fitness content, but we also want remarkable stories told by remarkable people. And then we try to take this thing and we try to meet those in the middle, if that makes sense, right? Yeah. So let's talk about when your fitness journey started, okay? Yeah. What inspired you to want to essentially just get in shape? Like what did you do in the beginning to get this journey started?
All right, so for me, you got to understand some backstory before we get into what brought about this change. I grew up big, very big, from a very small town. We didn't have football. I didn't really like sports. So by the time I got to high school and it was senior year, I was 355 pounds. I remember very vividly that number appearing on the scale. And that was just, I didn't have a lot of work ethic to go outside. I didn't really want to do anything. I wanted to play video games, which I still enjoy, but just in more moderation now. When I got to college, so I went to my undergraduate at SAU Magnolia, and I remember vividly a picture was taken from the intro week of all these activities we were doing, and I got put on the Facebook page for the ag department, and I'm sure it's still there somewhere, but it was not a very flattering picture of me. Very, very much showed me how much weight I had gained. And before that, I had taken a couple of times to try to get my life together and act together when it came to fitness. But seeing that picture online was the big motivator to be like, this is the opportunity to change stuff. Because my parents, we always struggled with our weight. In our household, we just didn't really talk about it that much. And so I started right then and there with counting calories, walking. They have a farm trail at SAU that just goes all around the campus.
That's Southern Arkansas University, right? Okay.
Yep. So at SAU Magnolia, Southern Arkansas University, they have this giant farm trail. And so I would start walking that once in the morning and once at night. Okay. And I would do that pretty much every day. I made some friends on campus who were in the football program there through the church that I went to. And they, yeah, I know. So it always comes back around. I needed somebody who had more experience than me. And so they gave me a little bit of training and weights, but mostly I just focused on cardio. And I slowly dropped weight. So after about 3 years, by the time I graduated, I hit my goal of 200 pounds.
Okay.
So at graduation in 2014, I was 200 pounds, and I felt good, but I had no muscle pretty much whatsoever.
Now that's around the time you and I met, right? Because you graduate, and your first job was Sparkman?
Yeah, a teeny tiny school called Sparkman High School in Sparkman, Arkansas.
Now, was this Your first year was
Shout
the
out.
fall. The first year was the fall of 2014.
Yep.
Okay. And so what you just described basically is okay. So I didn't even know that portion of your journey leading up to that. I didn't know it was that big of a struggle.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, I can't blame anybody for it. You know, you can blame genetics, you can blame like lifestyle choices, but as a kid, I just wasn't. Physical activity outside was not something that I enjoyed, and so even though I saw other people doing that and I recognized the need that I had to get in shape, I just couldn't really do anything about it until I took control of my life when I went to college. Like when choices were your own, right? And y'all may feel the same way. Like, you know, when you're at home, and I work with teenagers as a teacher, so I see these teenagers who like don't feel like they have a lot of choice. But I'm like, I assure you, when you get out and do stuff on your own, when you're the one buying your meals and you're the one figuring out your activities and schedules, it's a little easier if you kind of shape what you want for that. So I tried to take full advantage.
So okay. So you move, you get the job at Sparkman, and you move to Arkadelphia right off the bat, right? Arkadelphia, those watching it, it's the town where I went to school at, or I went to college at, and James lived in. It's a fairly big town.
Yeah.
It's big enough to have two colleges literally right across the street from each other.
You just transplant the colleges in a small town in Arkansas, and there you
The
go.
only college that matters there is Henderson State. The one across the street, I don't even.
What's their name again?
Daycare for adults. I don't know. But you got Arkadelphia, and that's where you lived, because I mean there really wasn't nothing to.
Oh yeah, no. Sparkman was like a 30-minute drive from Arkadelphia, and it's just in the middle of nowhere. And it was a great school when I worked there, but yeah, it was definitely not something you could just plop into and live in if you wanted any kind of other amenities.
So okay. So if I'm trying to walk down, dude, it's 10
Memory lane.
10 years or so, but I mean, good grief, that's a long time, man.
It
So
flies
like,
by.
if I'm trying to remember this correctly, you and I, like, we knew each other, but it wasn't until about the spring of 2016 that you and I started actually working together. Okay. I don't want to say like I trained you, because really,
Well, I mean, kind of, sort of, you did, but I mean, we worked out together. I think you kind of led our workouts for that plan.
Now, let's talk about that, because up until that point, you said prior to that, in those 3 years of school, you just kind of did more cardio-based type stuff. So, talk about the transition, if you would, from doing that to learning this completely different methodology that I graced your life.
Yeah, exactly. Let's put it that way. No, it was great. So once I got to Arkadelphia, you know, we went to the same church, and I actually met my now wife there.
She's a sweetheart.
Yeah, she's wonderful. Shout out to Morgan. She's great. And then, but of course, in that in-between time, like as we're getting ready for the wedding, I remember coming to you and being like, I need to get in better shape, because, you know, in college, I had a lot of free time. I had a lot of time to be able to go walk and go do the elliptical and count my calories really diligently. But in, you know, real life, when you got a job and you have responsibilities and you're, you know, doing all these things, it got really easy for me to get complacent. So I'm pretty sure I had gained weight back again to at least like 250, 260 at that point, maybe a little more.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but the whole reason you and I started working together was because you were planning to engage, or to propose to Morgan, right?
Yeah, so I proposed to Morgan around that 2016 time, because we didn't get married until 2017, and we had a pretty long engagement. So I was like, I need to get back in shape for this. So I asked you to get me back in shape, and you definitely did, because we started CrossFit. And I remember at the time, like, CrossFit was really intimidating for me, because it did have a lot of those more weight-based movements and functional movements that I was not used to doing in cardio. So it's very similar to what you saw today on the video. It's a struggle. I mean, it's a whole different skill set than cardio and even just regular weightlifting.
Constantly very functional movements performed at a high intensity. That's the definition of it. Good stuff. Just also, I'm gonna try to give y'all like a little tidbit of my life prior to, leading up to this. So I was a voluntary intern for the strength conditioning program at Henderson State University. That was my first job, fresh out. So I'm working on my master's, and I'm working with a strength program, and I'm kind of preparing for life after the internship at this point. So I'm looking for a new job, and I'm just kind of looking for opportunities. Well, I got at night I'd work at the health club. I would do some construction stuff, or I'd work at the health club, and I needed a challenge in and of itself. And so this is when I first got into functional fitness as well. So I took a lot of the training that I had from like a weight room management, and then I wanted to apply this new methodology that I've learned. And what better guinea pig than this guy?
Somebody who's willing to do what he needs to do, and I had a good deadline, so it was all good.
But James, dude, you killed it. I mean, we'll get into that a little bit more lately, but I can't stress that enough about how fulfilling of an experience that was for me. I know it was good for you too, but just reaffirming that this stuff works, and that this is something I can share with other people and they can get enjoyment out of it. I mean, it's just, it goes both ways. Yeah. So,
and if you haven't done a lot of CrossFit, like one of the best things about it is the functionality of the workout.
How it fits in like day-to-day life.
Exactly. Like you feel better in movements and in all kinds of ways because what you're doing is functional. I don't mind doing a lot of the physical weightlifting stuff too. And it's good because it does work out a lot of exclusive muscle groups, but you may not use those same muscle groups throughout your everyday. You're going to use stuff in CrossFit. And we had a really good group then too, like a bunch of people that worked out with us.
Me, you,
our friend Tony. Yeah, Tony was in that group.
Donkey Dad. we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that in Honduras.
But it was like me, you, Tony. I think Garrett got in the mix
Garrett
too.
Came in every once in a while. And then we had a couple other college friends, I think, who would filter in from time to time. But I mean, I learned a lot of foundational skills, like making sure that your form is good, making sure that your reps are always performed to that same standard, and not like, not just giving half effort because you're like, well, I'm tired and I want this to be done. So those things I really have carried with me throughout the rest of my workout career.
So if you were to describe shameless plug for functional fitness here, but if you were to describe that challenge compared to just some of the other like bodybuilding style workouts that you've done, or just straight cardio that you've done, how is that challenge? Just how does it compare to those other areas?
So I think you can kind of force your mind when it comes to the physical fitness of either just regular weightlifting or regular cardio to be comfortable with those movements after a while. But with what I've experienced with CrossFit anyway, like the Metcon we did today, like no amount of cardio training is going to prepare you for the amount of oxygen you need in that moment. Like your body is just having to be like, what is happening? And
you're getting comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Exactly. So, and it's never the same, right? So no matter what workout you do, all of them are at a high intensity. All of them are going to involve you having to use specific muscle groups. And so what seems like something that would be relatively easy, like throwing the ball up and catching it, you're like, that's not too bad. But when you do that,
don't forget the squat portion.
Exactly. Like you squat down, you throw it back up, and after you do that 5 or 6 times, like this really starts to weigh on you. And so when you're going up to 20 sometimes in those sets, I mean, there's a reason that I paused and had to breathe in real hard several times for those. Because you're just not used to it. Yeah, like your body is just dying for oxygen. But I mean, it's not impossible. And I think that's a big hurdle people have to get over, is like the mental blocks of, I can't do this. Like, I'm not fit enough for this. And it's like, well, yeah, you're going to struggle. But I mean, that struggle is eventually going to get easier over time. I mean, there's no way, like when we ran the rack on goblet squats, that I would have thought it was even possible for me to do that years ago. Like even a year ago, I would have been like, no, there's no way. But even now, like there are still mental blocks that I'm having to get past. Like sometimes it's just the number. Like when you like see 100 and you're like, there's no way I can do 100 pounds of that, X amount of times. But like your body can go a lot farther than what your brain sometimes tells you it can.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, the mind will break.
Yeah.
You know, if you let it.
Mm-hmm.
But if your mind's strong, your body's going to be strong, and you're going to perform, you know, at a pretty high level. So that's that's always something to keep in mind too. The body's going to break before the mind does.
Yeah.
Now, this is one of the more interesting portions of this journey because you don't think fitness when you hear about countries like Honduras. I mean, James and I have spent some time in a couple of areas in Honduras, just doing some work down there. At a lot of masonry work, did some a little bit of carpentry work, building the beds and stuff. But we made time.
Yeah, whether we wanted to or not,
we made time. We made time to get a workout in. I think each time we went, we probably spent roughly about a week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that.
Yep.
We almost. I mean, if the work day was bad, we might not have,
Yeah,
but
it really just depended on how much we had to do that day. But if you're not familiar, basically, like our church would go with a group to help put cement floors in, and we would build beds for various individuals in Honduras. If you may have seen many mission trips go down there year round to help the people of Honduras in different ways. But it was really important to us to keep that fitness aspect going. Because while you are, lifting cement bags, you're moving wheelbarrows, you're,
shoveling.
You're shoveling constantly. Like you do a lot of physical activity, but again, it's not the same as the fitness we were trying to go for. So I remember in the mornings we would wake up while it was still cool and try to do whatever we could do, using whatever was around.
We made our own. Well, we didn't make our own weights. Somebody had weights.
They let us borrow weights, that they had made, which was funny.
A little PVC pipe and some concrete and coffee cans can't fix,
Hey, I mean, it all worked, man. I mean, being able to do push-ups on an incline, like using some cement pads that were already poured in our complex.
Doing thrusters with a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Lovely.
I mean, you just made it work. I remember at the time being like, why are we doing this? Like, we're already doing so much work, but it was good to have.
Do you remember?
Oh no.
Here's some glory story. Okay. Do you remember when it was? I think it was your second year. It was my first year. We had spent that entire day. We got on a plane. We flew to Atlanta. We get to Atlanta. We get on another plane and we fly the 2.5 hours down to Tegucigalpa, which is the capital of Honduras. Mm-hmm. You go through the second most dangerous
runway. It was super dangerous. They hadn't blown that mountain out yet.
Only the most trained pilots can go in and out of that place. No, you take a straight nosedive and then hit the brakes and then you come into a clean landing. And then we travel from Tegucigalpa to Amaguapa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you remember getting there? It's pitch black, dark at night, and I said, "What? 500 push-ups or 500 air squats?"
Something.
Yeah, we haven't even put our bags down yet, and it's like, okay, we gotta get over.
Which, I mean, to be fair though, when you've traveled that far and your legs have just been locked up that long, you probably need to do something. But I remember being like, "This is not the time for this."
Me, you, and Andrew knocked it out though, man.
Yeah, Andrew was another good one to work out with us.
Do you remember what happened to Hannah?
No, not specifically.
Okay, well, we won't talk.
We'll table that for another time. Okay. That'll be an extra content.
Blooper. But we got there, and I mean, we just didn't. We probably weren't there 5 minutes, man. We hadn't even put our stuff up, and we got a workout in. So now my next question is this: my mindset going down there was, I'm here to help people. I'm here to offer my talents, my energy. I'm here to just give as much as I can to try and just do what I can for somebody who's in need. When realistically, I was the one in need the most, but that's besides the point. You talk about the challenge of going down there, working. Your diet's kind of limited.
Yeah, I mean, you really don't have a lot of options. It's whatever they provide, which was always wonderful, and we were very grateful for it.
But can you talk to me about, like, because yes, we worked out almost every day while we were down there working. Every time we went, but can you talk about the diet part of it going down there? Because I don't want that to get overlooked, because that's a key part to, if not the most important aspect of just day-to-day life in general, the food that you intake.
You cannot outrun a bad diet.
Nope.
Like that. It's one thing I've had to learn the hard way multiple times, because with my fitness journey, it's always been ups and downs. There's never been a consistency of like maintaining my weight. It's always been like, I lose weight, I get to the point that I'm happy with it, and then it slowly just creeps back up, because I either make really poor choices on food, or like life gets in the way and I have to stop working out. But as far as Honduras went, a lot of the food they provide for us, of course, if you've ever been on a mission trip to a country like that, you're kind of limited on the water sources that you have. You're limited on the food that you can eat that is safe for you to eat without getting you sick. So like they would offer us a lot of different things that I remember there wasn't as much produce. Like any produce we had to be washed in water that we brought, or water that was from a tank that they provided that was purified. And I just remember trying to focus on portions. Yep. Like, you really didn't have a lot of choice on what they gave you.
But you could pig out those.
Oh, yeah, no, they would let you go back, and they made so much. Again, such a grateful community, such a wonderful group of people, and they would let you eat whatever. And they would offer you sodas, and they would offer you all these things, and you're just like, I'm good, thank you so much. Like, I'm going to try to eat this one. But, at the same time, trying to manage, like, you're doing such additional work. I'll admit it was pretty hard. It was pretty hard to, like, keep consistent on a diet while you were down there, because your temptation is just to overeat, because you're like, well, I need this. I'm burning all these calories. But I definitely remember some years that I would go down there and be like, oh, I definitely ate too much. Like, there was way too much in that.
Now, I'm going to talk, this is a tough one. Okay, and I'm sorry, I didn't prepare you for this one. But
oh, no. Bonus question.
It's our first, my first year, your second year, that year that we trained leading up into it. There was a point, if you spend enough time in a place like, and I'm not saying like it's a terrible place down there, because it's not. Yeah. Honduras is a beautiful country with beautiful people, and it's really, it's day-to-day life down there really isn't too much different than, they're a lot more laid back. Obviously, technology is not, as big of a deal down there. Available. But, you still struggle with the same things down there that you would here. Now, saying that, we go on a job, and I forget what I think we might have been taking supplies to a clinic.
I think so. Yeah, there were several down there.
And they had a scale in the clinic. And I feel so bad about. Did I? You know what I'm talking about?
I think I remember this moment. Okay. I hadn't remembered it before this. Are you talking about like where I was? You asked me to weigh in or whatever.
We were trying to do I just wanted to see where you were at. That me being a trainer and like just kind of me. I should have just let it go, but I didn't. I wanted to see where you were at, and I asked you to step on the scale, and it was a few pounds higher than what you were before we set off. Can you please elaborate on the dangers of the scale?
Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up. So if you're like me and you've always dealt with weight, like a struggle with weight, it's very easy to let the scale number dictate how you feel. And for me, especially, like what I've experienced is that when the scale numbers go down, I feel great. But as soon as those scale numbers go up, it's like panic. And I think for me, at least, it's because I don't want to backslide that far. Like I don't want to go back to where I was at before. So in that moment, what I remember feeling was like frustration, because it was higher than when I had left. And we had been doing all these workouts, and we had been trying to like maintain our diets while we were down there. Looking back now, I can definitely realize that like it was the middle of the day, so I'm sure we'd eaten at that point. previously. I'm sure I was retaining some water.
Everything had salt.
Yeah, everything has salt, and you need it, right?
Gotta preserve your food.
It was there. So, I mean, like, it was, I can see that now, and I probably did let it affect me in the moment, and it shouldn't have. But even now, like, we talked about this a little bit before when we were working out, is that, like, I'm trying to build muscle now. And so 200 pounds without any muscle, and then what I'm at right now, around 260 with muscle, is very different.
Mm-hmm.
Your body is going to feel very different. And so I have to learn to step away from the scale as far as seeking gratification from that, and instead look for things like body fat percentage, measurements, just how I look in photos and how I look in pictures. Like, that to me needs to mean more to me than what the scale number
and
is.
I told you this earlier, man. You look phenomenal.
Thank you.
Right now. Like you look like a defensive lineman. Like you are yoked. Dude.
It's hard. Like, I think, and anybody who struggled with weight, again, I speak of my experience, but you may feel the same way. It's hard for me to look in the mirror and see the progress that I'm making. It's hard for me to like look at it and say, yeah, I'm making substantial strides. But when I see photos from like a year ago, or when I see photos from like 2 years ago, then I can definitely compare those and be like, oh yeah, I'm making progress. So it's all in the eye of the beholder. Don't let it get you down. If you do have weeks where, like, for example, last week, I really started kicking back my diet again, like taking the reins of my calories and trying to get my macros right. And I gained weight after a week, and I was frustrated. But, we talked about it. We said, like, maybe it's water retention, maybe it's muscle growth, maybe like there's 1,000 different things that it can be. Be consistent, because weight loss and progress doesn't happen on a weekly basis. It's going to be over a long stretch of time that you start to see that decline in weight or that increase in muscle growth.
So talk about, if you're talking about trying to build muscle now. Okay. So with CrossFit, just functional fitness in general, you're going to gain strength. You're going to gain mobility. You're going to gain agility. Your cardiovascular is going to get better. You're going to make all these improvements in pretty much all areas of your body. Okay, all aspects of physiology. So you got. Oh yeah, I'm in the right spot.
Yeah, we're good.
So you got all aspects of physiology. But with strength training and trying to build muscle, can you talk about some of the mental challenges that might go along with that?
Yeah, so I think it's easy for somebody like me who grew up big to have a lot of mental hurdles to overcome as far as weight loss and weightlifting. So you kind of always think of yourself as a bigger person, or at least that's my experience when you grow up big, is that you always kind of think of yourself mentally as bigger than you are. But then it's the opposite when it comes to weight. So since I never really worked out with any intention in my childhood, like, my legs had to carry a lot of that weight. So that's why I enjoy working out my legs, because like they are relatively strong, but then my upper body suffers. But since I think that anyway, but then like I get in the gym and I can do a lot more with my upper body than I realize. But mentally, it's a hurdle for me to say, oh, I can do this. So that mental status, I think we've mentioned before, but your brain will always quit before your body does. Your brain will always say, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, it's dangerous. And again, sometimes it's right. So do be cautious. But if it's a weight, like a number, there was a time a year ago where I didn't think I could hold a 100-pound dumbbell, let alone do a goblet squat 10 times with it. Like, there's a lot of mental hurdles you have to give yourself credit for. And once you see that you can do that, like I have guys in the gym I work out with now, shout out to Joe and Ray and Blake and Jeremy, who really push me to do more. And they'll be the ones to say, you can easily lift this weight. Like, you can do this, and at least make me try, right? Like, if I can't make it, or I can't get the same number of reps they can, that's one thing, because they've been working out for years longer than I have. But they at least push me to do that and get over those mental hurdles, because if you keep telling yourself you can't, you're probably right. And so, definitely listen to our bodies if they have a concern, but mentally we have to be able to push past, the desire to just want to quit really early on.
Transitioning a little bit here. You got any good? You got any good stories like maybe gym stories, or not even really? Remember, this is glory stories, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of the focus here. But you got anything outside of the gym, maybe, or in the gym you'd like to talk about?
So I haven't mentioned it yet, but I did train in Taekwondo for several years, and I have a black belt in that, which was pre-COVID. I think like right before COVID hit, I got my black belt.
You first degree or second degree?
First degree.
First.
Yeah, I couldn't really train much after COVID, and then by the time we had our daughter at that point, so a lot of other things came in. I got my master's, but I bring it up because one of the most exciting things that happened for me with that is a friend of mine from Henderson, when we were living in Arkadelphia, wanted to do a photo shoot of some of the martial arts techniques.
I didn't know about this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, dang, I can't remember her name. That makes me sad. It's one of our mutual friends from church. Ty, I think was her name.
Oh, I remember Ty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was an art student at Henderson, and I was really excited because she wanted me to do several different techniques. And so I think I still have those photos printed out of like a flying sidekick and like different
Roadhouse.
It was really cool. I mean, like it's just one of those deals. Like I loved martial arts as a kid, and I never got to do that because of the town that I lived in was so small. And then once I got to college, I did a little bit of training to like get my yellow belt at this really traditional school. And once I got to Arkadelphia, our friend Kevin Belt, he was teaching the class at Henderson over it, and he would have extra classes for students who wanted to actually progress in belt rank. And so I would go with him, and I would train like Tuesday nights or something like that for hours, and I would eventually, slowly but surely, get my belts. But it took years. I mean, I loved that training, and I love martial arts even now, as I don't get to practice as much. But that was a really cool thing for me, like I guess an emotional high, like kind of a cathartic thing to be able to say, like, wow, I really, not only did I get my black belt, but I was able to do the technique so well that somebody wanted.
I really got to see these pictures now.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find them when I get home and send you pictures of
Hey,
them.
I got to check on the camera real quick.
Mhm.
Lord knows I don't want to have any kind of technical difficulties. Yeah, right there.
Still going?
Yeah, we're good. Okay.
We fear technical difficulties.
It could be a serious problem. You might have to restart your whole video.
Who would do that? Who would do that?
Apple would. Okay. So I got a story in mind, and
I'm sure there are several we could pull from. But which one are you thinking of?
Oh man! So I come down for a visit one weekend when you and Morgan were living in that apartment down there, and you know the one I'm talking about, where I get like absolutely food drunk on some stuffed crust pepperoni pizza.
Which can happen. And it's important that if you haven't experienced that yet, it's a very real possibility. When you over ingest carbs,
It is an incredible feeling. There are some pictures floating around on Facebook of me in that state. So we had a feast this night, but something happened before all this, and it all started because you lost your keys, right?
I need to preface that I'm not good at keeping up with my keys. I am very bad about not checking pockets before changing clothes or like putting clothes into the laundry. So yes, this is on brand for me to have lost keys. If I remember correctly, I think the pants that I had ripped, right? Like, and I don't even remember how, but I had ripped. They were really old work pants that they had ripped, and I was like, we don't need these anymore.
So you threw them away.
So I threw them away. And of course, being consistent, I did not check the pockets for my keys. And so we're getting ready to go get the pizzas, and I'm like, where are my keys? And we like tear our house apart to try to find, or their apartment apart to try to find them. And then it suddenly dawns on me where they have to have been. And so we already taken the trash to the dumpster, guys. And if you've lived in apartments like that, you know they only collect the dumpster trash like once a week. So thankfully it was still there, but it means that we needed somebody to go dumpster diving. And who fell to that task but Zach? My wife, meanwhile, recorded the video. So there's a video somewhere of this that we'll have to find and send to him.
I walk up to the side door on this dumpster, And I just look in there, and the smell from this thing, it was like,
It was so bad.
I'm pretty sure there was like a dead raccoon or just something in this dumpster that was slowly decaying.
It was
And,
rough. It was very rough.
I asked the question because I know at this point, like, first of all, there's like 100 black bags in this thing. I don't know which one is which. So, functional fitness trains you for life. I'm like preparing myself, like, okay, I'm gonna have to grab onto that wall. I'm gonna have to like duck here. Flexibility, mobility is key, right? So if you want to go into a dumpster, you're gonna have to be able to fit through this little
You
square.
too may have to go in a dumpster someday. You need to be prepared.
So I asked the question before I just climb into this dumpster. Have we exhausted all other options? Is there anything else we could do? And I'm like, somebody go get a stick, because I was gonna try and pick. I was gonna try and start picking these bags out of here.
Hoist it out there.
And all of a sudden, I hear like some rustling going on off to the side of me, and while this is going on, I'm like trying to find the bag, and I hear, "Hey, look at that big old limb!" And James comes walking up with this.
My wife still laughs at this video because you just hear me pop out of the side, and I'm like, I got this big old limb.
He's not carrying like a branch that fell off.
It's huge. It was obnoxiously too big for the
There's
task.
no way I could have picked this thing up and stuck.
I'm an overachiever. What can I say?
And so I'm like, well, I guess I'm gonna have to go inside of the dumpster. But it was just how he said it was. It was the highlight of the whole
On the
clip.
bright side, you found it on the first try.
I didn't
You found
do
the
that.
trash bag on the first try,
Thank
so that was good.
Goodness, and I probably smelled like like I got sprayed by a skunk with leprosy.
The pizza was worth it.
It was just I can just anytime I think of James Stone, it's like, hey, look at this
big old limb.
That's that Southern Arkansas twang for you, man.
Yeah, I can't get rid of it.
Hey, Northeast Arkansas twang, it's something too. I bet you figured that out since you've been up here.
Yeah, that's very true.
But man, I adore that story, man. Like that is one of the best. And I was going through a hard time around that point in time too. So like that's good
It
to.
was a lot of fun. We look back on that one pretty fondly.
Yeah, dumpster diving. Okay, so I'm gonna transition away a little bit from just
Dumpsters.
yeah, because now you know how like you can taste smells.
Yes. Yep.
Like that just kind of came back to
Oh
me.
no.
Like it kind of smelled like fruit a little bit. I don't know if that
Interesting.
but yeah, I'm like I kind of got like a hint of fruit and like a weird sense of like wintertime all of a sudden. Like it takes me back. But
Good to know.
Okay, gotta bring it in. So now, this is one question I want to ask. If you, where you're at now, if you could share one crucial piece of advice with your former self from 15 years ago, what would you tell them?
So 15 years ago was really close to when I got into college, my undergrad, and so really started this push to do better. So I think at that point I was open to the idea of being physically better and more fit, but I think I was still overly harsh on myself, and I think I've continued that trend throughout my life, and maybe y'all feel the same way, but as a perfectionist, like I always hold myself to a really high standard, and I tend to compare. So like when I see my buddies in the gym and they're lifting like way higher weights than me and way more sets, it's easy to feel like, man, I just haven't made any progress at all. And just be really down on yourself. But I mean, I look back at, like we talked about this before, how I may still have the mental image of myself as being bigger, but I look back at pictures from a year ago and see the muscle that I put on. I'm proud of that, and seeing the fitness journey that I've went on, I would just encourage myself to not compare so much, not to be so harsh. As long as you're consistent and you're working hard, I think we tend to look at success and being like a exponential growth. We want it to be just a flat line or a straight line that goes up at this angle consistently. And in reality, your life is going to be peaks and valleys. You're going to have really great moments where your strength is super high, and you're going to have times where your strength is low. You're going to have times where maybe your weight is higher, and then times where it's lower. But if you look at the overall journey, you're going to see those bigger trends. So just being kinder and trying to say, just keep at it, just keep working.
That's something I think we could all take away. Like if I could probably, and I say the same thing to my former self. But I right now I tell you what I'm struggling with right now. It's like 15 years ago, like the guy that I was back then, the guy that I was 10 years ago. Like I think about that and maybe what my times on certain things would have been. And like back when I was training at CrossFit Little Rock, I had the best coach in Beth Ann Patterson. She was phenomenal when it came to programming and just like getting you to peak at the right time. Like if you had a competition coming up or if you had the open coming up, she was good about just being able to get you on the right track to being able to perform at your absolute best exactly when you need to. And I got in shape under her tutelage, man. I mean, it was awesome. I think about that guy and where I'm at now, and it's just I'm hard on myself now compared to who I was back then.
Right.
And it's good grief. I need to forget the former self. I'm telling myself.
Well, and that's the difference in our journey, right? Like you have a basis that you can say, this is where I peaked at. This is like, or not necessarily peaked. This is where I was at a high point in my life. And so I can say well, yeah, there's been times where I've had less weight than I have now, but I can't really think of a time that I've been stronger than I am now. I think when I worked out with you in CrossFit, I was definitely much more functionally fit than I am now, but it's all a journey and growth. And so, yeah, like there's no reason. I mean, of course, I think people who watch your channel can see the progression in this series that you've had of videos and workouts getting back into the swing of things, that you are making good strides and good gains. And, it may not be the same as 5 years ago, but life's not the same as 5 years ago.
Oh, no.
Like we both have children, we both have wives and lives and different things that are going on that take our attention and time, but we're trying to be consistent as much as possible. And it's easy for me to say that to everybody else. It's easy for me to be like an encourager to other people and say, yeah, you've got this. And then to myself be like, no, man, you stink. You got to get back, get back to this. But I'm trying to practice more what I preach and say that, I'm thankful for the opportunity to get to have learned from all of those people I've mentioned and all of the different things that I've been able to gain from that. And I hope that I can keep that moving. And, even as my daughter gets older, she's 3 now, and she will tell me, she's like, I'm going to do my exercise. Because there have been times where I've had to work out at home where I told her, like, I'm going to the gym. And she'll be like, I get to go with you to the gym sometime soon, right? And I'm like, well, like, they don't really want your 3-year-olds at the gym. But, I'm like, yeah, we'll do some at-home stuff, And what she does for exercise is usually just jumping around and silly. But I want her to have that example of me trying to better myself and me trying to set a good example of what I think health should be. Because there's mental benefits to working out. There's physical benefits, obviously. And, you need that mental break sometimes of just lifting heavy things to make yourself.
You want to feel better? Pick something up heavy. Put it down.
I don't know what it is, but it works. It's great.
Well, we're here and we're talking about glory stories and we're just sharing our journeys and stuff. But I got to tell you something, James. You have been the absolute, the number one supporter of this channel from the very beginning. This whole thing hasn't been going on for very long, but if it's been an Instagram post, you're there. If it's been a YouTube comment, you're there. It's just, I can't thank you enough for that. Another thing I can't thank you enough for is your fitness journey. Yes, physically fit, but the journey itself is so much more than about being fit. you know, and the workouts and whatnot. It's about the relationships that you create with people. And I'm the pot calling the kettle black because I'm a hermit when it comes to a lot of stuff. Like, you might not hear from me for 2 years. Like, bam. But like, yeah, dude, like, you know, I can't thank you enough for just being a part of my journey as well, and just seeing the progress that you've made over the years as a person too. I mean, dude, you know, mental toughness plays a huge role in a lot of this.
Yep.
James, you are one of the most mentally tough people I've ever come across. And,
I don't know about that.
Well, no, listen, you can't go through all the peaks and valleys you've gone through and not say you're not mentally tough. I mean, it's just, James, come on, man. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm super grateful. I think that's something we do take for granted as individuals, is the people we meet in these situations, right? Everybody's building their own journey, and I couldn't be where I'm at today without you, without Kevin, without Joe and Ray and Blake and Jeremy, like people who just kind of take care of one another. And in the gym, I think we're kind of just taught, you know, like, you just do your thing and you get out. And like, I think I said that earlier, like, you know, most people in the gym don't care what you're doing. And that's true, but it's a really nice find when you find people who are willing to help you grow together.
Yeah. I mean, the community aspect of it is, I feel like it's lacking today.
Mm.
I mean, I could be, you know, wrong, but I mean,
we're just speaking from our own experience.
Yeah, well, you look around and see, I mean, not people just going through the motions, but like there really isn't a community. Like, people put the headphones in and then they just go. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, the community aspect of it, it's accountability. It's having somebody there to, you know, coach you through something or walk you through something or give advice, give a critique, even though you might not want it, but it's necessary. But like, the community aspect of it all is what leads to growth, and, you know, growth as a person, growth in the gym, and that it's just, you can't get, and that's what really I'm trying to build with all this. It's just some form of community that we can come back to, you know, and be there for each other just throughout these journeys.
Well, that's why I love supporting the channel, because I think it's good for you to put out there this realistic fitness option. You know, like, we live in a world where everything is larger than life and everything is so big, but you've been honest and open about your journey coming back. You've been honest about, you know, hey, I needed to drop this set for whatever reason, or I struggled on this set. And I think that comes through you're going to see a lot of struggle in the video for me today, but that comes through really clearly in your content. And I think that's good. You know, like, when I support the channel, I know that it's going to go out and help other people who need to see what you're putting out there. And if you're going to a gym, I mean, like, of course, there's nothing wrong with you wanting to work out by yourself, but if you're confused on a workout, asking somebody, you know, what a proper technique or form is, who has good knowledge on that subject, talking to personal trainers, talking to these individuals who want to see you succeed, you know, and learning what you can from them. I think that's a really great skill that, like you said, the community aspect of fitness. You know, maybe it's an online social group, maybe it's more YouTube channels, but whatever it is, I think ZP Glory Stories needs to be in that space.
Well, James, I appreciate this from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for being on here. This is, you know, I started the channel not too long ago, but, you know, the idea and the concept behind a lot of this is something that I flirted with for years, man. And so you being the #1 supporter and just doing what you've done thus far, and like having you be the first guest on Glory Stories, man, it's been great to be able to just do this with you and also catch up with you, because it's been a while.
It means a lot to me. I really appreciate it.
And I'm thankful for this. And, you know, I yeah, there might have to be a part 2.
Yeah.
You know,
if you want me back, I'll be more than happy to come on.
Well, I'll try to get everybody. I can just visualize this episode with like you, me, Tony, and Anthony. That is Tony,
Andrew, yeah.
And you know,
a lot of fun.
And just having the 4 of us kind of like a round table, you know, talk about like Honduras stories. And oh man, we didn't even talk about jumping from the bed of trucks. That was
no, we're not addressing that. I wasn't a part of that. Exactly. Weird.
I was. I got in trouble. But man, this has been great, James. Thank you so much for
I
doing this.
appreciate it, man.
ZP Glory Stories, guys. Also, hey, remember this bonus content coming out for this weekend. Okay, this is episode 1. Episode 2 should be coming out sometime in the near future, hopefully a day or so after this is launched. So keep your antennas up for that. Guys, it's been a pleasure. Hope to see you on the next one.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
That too. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh.
That's why I'm not getting up yet. That's